Eden Memorial Chapels understands Jewish funerals can take many forms. Some are very Orthodox, while others are more conservative or of a Reformed nature. There's no one better in New York or New Jersey. Go to EdenMemorial.com.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Joining us now is Mark Penn, the great political pollster and consultant. Democrat, of course, who very close to the Clintons and others. Mark, I can't wait to get your reaction to the interview with Bret Baier and Kamala Harris last night. What did you think?
Well, look, I don't understand what her point was in doing this interview. She really was just going to attack Donald Trump on any question and just do anti-Trump talking points, which to tell that to a Fox News audience didn't strike me as a strategy to make any sense. When Bret Baier, he's a real journalist. If she were giving real answers to the questions, he would have been quite patient with her and given her lots of room instead of what she did. And look, and I think Bret, after the interview, pretty much did her in and said, look, they cut the time. They were frantic to get her out there. She didn't really answer the questions.
And she talked, and Mark, she talked over him constantly. She engaged in her own personal filibuster against him. She was dodging and weaving and talking down to him. And he was a gentleman and he was a professional journalist.
Exactly. And I think that's why I think Bret Baier said, well, her point was to go home to the liberals and say, aha, you see, I stood up to Fox News. And I think Bret Baier, he was very, very well prepared to pin her down and call out, some of the nonsense like, oh, I put this bill in for the border, and complete nonsense about immigration and these other things that other interviewers kind of let pass through as facts. But yes, she was not answering the questions, kind of filibustering with just trying to get in negative Trump talking points. And so I don't know. Look, everybody who's decided, I don't think that changed any minds. Anybody who was really open-minded and looking for an informative interview didn't get one because that's not what she came to do.
Yeah, see, I think it hurt her with independence, Mark. I was watching and thinking, if I'm an independent, I'm skeptical about her because it was clear she wasn't answering concise questions. I mean, he started with the very first one saying, okay, how many have been let out? How many illegal migrants have been let out? And it's a number. Alejandro Mayorkas has come out and said it was about 85%. It was a pretty easy answer. I could have answered it, and she wouldn't answer it. And I think it's because she didn't want to. She knows how bad it is. She wouldn't apologize to Lake and Riley's family. I mean, there were some things that were just, to me, watching. If I'm an American, I go, this woman's not ready for prime time.
Well, look, I would not have expected her to apologize to the families. I don't think that was realistic. I think as it started off, she could have said, yes, we know how many people, went through the border. We've put in these programs. Yeah, she could have answered the questions. She wasn't really there to answer any questions. She was there to take on Bret Baier, get some headlines. And you saw the headlines. It's like people were telling me this morning, if I look at this, she was dazed and confused, says one side, and she was brilliant and took on Bret Baier, says the other side.
Although some Democrats are saying it was an ambush, like that she looked like a deer in headlights, an ambush. So, but you're right. It wasn't an ambush. You and I know Bret Baier well. It wasn't an ambush. Governor Patterson.
Mark, I just thought that this interview was going to be an opportunity for her to talk to independents and even to talk to Trump supporters. And there are a lot of Trump supporters who probably don't think much of him personally, but do think that he could lead the country better than she could. This would have been a way for her to kind of flip the script, but apparently she didn't show any of that. And she still gets into these situations where she doesn't seem to actually know how to answer the question, and that's a little disturbing.
No, she did not go into that interview with the intent to let's have a heart-to-heart sit-down with Bret Baier. She went into that interview with the intent to aggressively attack Donald Trump for 20 minutes. That is what the strategy clearly was. That was what she executed. It didn't matter if Bret Baier asked her, what was the weather today? She would have said Donald Trump is responsible for all the rain, that ever occurred for the last 10 years. So, what I really want to see in all of this stuff is I want that CBS transcript. The fact that CBS will not release a transcript of an interview with a presidential candidate is outrageous. They are in the information business to inform the voters. And I think there is zero justification for them not releasing that transcript. And so it has to either be really bad. We know when Her never released the transcripts on Biden, that we know why, because it was really bad. And there's only one reason that these transcripts aren't being released. They really reflect poorly on CBS. And CBS has got to bite the bullet and should be pressured. It's an outrageous thing for them not to want the voters to see what the candidate actually said.
Yeah, that's a great point. Ed Cox, real quick.
And actually, that was done during the vice presidential debate, when they actually shut off the mic of J.D. Vance when he was fact-checking the fact-checker. And also, by the way, who was not supposed to be fact-checking to begin with.
There's a complaint also with the FCC against CBS and 60 Minutes now, too, which is interesting, saying, look, you're supposed to be fair. How does this adhere to journalism standards? That cutting off and also this.
Cutting off the mic?
Right. I mean, come on.
Same thing they're doing here.
The irony now is that the FBI revised the crime figures for, I believe it's 22, right? Is it 22? They revised the crime figures that were down to up 4.5%, right? And Real Clear Politics got a hold of the story and put it out. They put out no press release. They just went in and changed the spreadsheets.
That's like the work numbers. Remember the employment numbers? Oh, we're wrong. We didn't add 23,000. X amount 818,000. Right. Just an estimate. Right. Oh my God, Mark Penn. Thank you very much. Great points. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Great to have you.